I know a lot of people were amazed at the low amount of monthly spending I outlined in this video right here. So today I want to break down a few tips that will help you to live in the Dominican Republic or abroad on a lower budget. Obviously in that video I didn't include every single possible expense, but personally I would say it's a good baseline amount. Each person will have their own amount of spending beyond that, depending on lifestyle choices, so I don't expect everyone to be able to live on the same amount of money. However, if you are interested in living on a smaller amount of money, today I'll share a few suggestions, a few things to do, a few lifestyle factors that can help you with that goal. Now, I'm not saying that I do all of these things 100% of the time. In some areas, just like everyone else, sometimes I just prefer to pay for convenience, but I'm putting out options for someone who wants to live more frugally. Also, I wanted to say thank you for 2,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to do a Q&A in a future video, so leave any questions you want me to answer in that video in the comments below. Let's get started. We can't talk about saving money if we don't establish how we're making an income. My suggestion would be to not work locally. I would try to find some remote work, especially based in the US or whatever your home country is. I've seen people interested in moving here and they ask what sort of jobs they could get here. And to be honest, one, there is the aspect of taking jobs from local people who need them. And second, it does make things more complicated. You need to probably get residency for most jobs. For my teaching job, I didn't need to have residency. They just sort of worked around that, but you're not going to make as much money anyways working a local job as you would finding something else. Even with just my tutoring job, I make more than I did when I was working at this school full-time. If you are interested in the remote kind of work, then I would suggest starting your own business or providing a service to people. Maybe if you do want to teach, you could offer tutoring sessions in person or open a small business. Don't ask me about that. I don't really know how it works, but if you do want to work in person, I would consider being self-employed, doing an entrepreneur kind of thing, instead of taking jobs from the people who live here locally. If you want to move here and be in a place surrounded by other expats, I have nothing against that, but it's probably not the ideal location for you if you are looking to save money. Now, I'm not saying you should live in a dangerous place, but I do say choose your location wisely. There are a lot of options if you know where to look, where you will have a great living experience and you will pay far below what you would expect to pay for rent in the US. A lot of people were incredulous about the amount I gave in this video, but as others astutely noted in the comments, many Dominicans don't even make that much per month, let alone live on it. So yes, it's entirely possible to live in this country on a small amount of money, as many locals do. The more time you spend with local people, especially those living on a smaller income, the more you will learn about how they get by. Choose your location wisely when looking for a place to live. Another big thing to consider is transportation. If you get a place that's within walking distance of places you are going to be frequenting, that will help you cut costs on transportation. And remember, for walking distance, it can be very hot here, so you don't want to have to walk 30 minutes daily to a place that you are going to be going a lot. Try to keep it like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, because it does get hot. And if you're okay with the heat, then that's fine with you maybe, but keep that in mind as well. And another thing that will help you cut down on costs is learning to use public transportation. It's not for everyone. Maybe you just prefer to get a private Uber, but public transportation is very cheap and it can get you a long way, like across the city. So it is worth it at some point to try to figure out how to navigate that. Along with living like a local, shop like a local. Buy local, buy generic store brands rather than name brands, buy fruit and vegetables and other produce in season, and avoid imported products. If you eat like a local, which is like a lot of rice, some kind of meat, beans, you're definitely going to save money than if you were trying to replicate an American diet. Like, yes, there are a lot of American foods you can make with what you find in the grocery store here, but it would be a little bit more cost efficient to live and eat like a person in the country where you live or a Dominican. Going along with choosing location wisely, if you can walk to the grocery store, that's going to help you a lot in more than one way. Not only will it cut costs on transportation or gas if you have a car, but it will help you be mindful of what you're buying because you realize you have to carry all that stuff back. And what I do, I just have a backpack that I fill up. So I use one of those little small 2-tier shopping carts. And once that top part starts getting filled up, I know, okay, this is gonna be filling up my backpack. And I do have like another big green bag that I use, but I can sort of tell by looking at how much stuff I'm buying, at what point I'm gonna have my hands full trying to carry all that back. If you stick to a list when you're grocery shopping, that also helps a lot. I kind of don't stick to a list because sometimes I forget things and then I see them in the store and I realize, oh yeah, I did need that. But it is a good tip in general to try to come prepared with a list and buy only the things on that list. And once again, if you're walking and you keep in mind how much space you have to carry things back or how much carrying capacity your hands have, then you'll be more mindful of the things that you are choosing. As much as an advocate I am for living like a local, one thing my husband has noted to me is that a lot of Dominicans cook every day rather than cooking a lot or meal prepping ahead of time and eating leftovers frequently. However, I'm more used to just cooking a large amount and eating it over the course of a few days as leftovers. And that's something that works great for us. So each time I grocery shop, I really only buy enough food for cooking 1 or 2 big meals and then other things like bread, eggs, cheese, some sort of other meat to eat for lunches and breakfasts. This also helps save on gas if you just cook a lot of things at once rather than cooking a small amount every single day, but still using the gas for the same amount of time, or the propane, as I should say. Now let's talk about organization. You're not gonna know how much you're spending if you don't track it, because personally I have like several different bank accounts that I use. Anyways, I do use an app called Spending Tracker. Really straightforward. You just enter in what you spent and what category it's in. And then if you are consistent with that, you can see each month how much you spent in groceries, how much you spent in transportation or taxis, phone bills, whatever. It's a really helpful tool because if you are trying to get on a budget, you can see where your money is going. Let's talk about banking. So I would recommend, number 1, don't have any accounts or cards that require you to pay an annual fee. My only account that really charges me anything is my Dominican bank account. They take out like $1 each month, which is annoying. I don't have that with any of my other bank accounts. But if you can, choose accounts and cards that don't require you to pay something. That's a rule that I tend to follow. Also, make sure if you're using your American card or credit card here, make sure you choose one that doesn't have foreign transaction fees, because that's going to add up in the long run. It doesn't matter how small the fee may be. It's going to add up, especially if you are interested in living here. You should probably use a card that doesn't have foreign transaction fees. I recommend Capital One. They've been great. They don't charge foreign transaction fees. Also Discover, if you have a Discover credit card, they don't charge foreign transaction fees. Also, I keep an eye on the cash back. So for example, in this quarter, there's 5% cash back on groceries. So I've been using that card to pay for my groceries. And yeah, I like keeping an eye on things like that, maximizing the points and the cash back in that way. I also would recommend Betterment if you're interested in starting a high yield savings account. They have a 5% APY rate right now, which is really great. And they reimburse for foreign transaction fees or ATM fees. So if you do use your debit card with them, they'll reimburse you for those fees. I don't really use my debit card with them here, but it is an option. So those are the 3 I would recommend: Capital One, Discover, and Betterment. Links below if you want any sort of startup advantage. Number 9, I would recommend prepaid phone plans. So in the US, we're pretty used to having postpaid plans. That means that we have a set amount of data to use per month, but if we go over, there's a bill that comes at the end of the month and that's what we pay. But here, my husband has sort of revolutionized how I've seen this because I'm just so used to the postpaid plan. But coming here, he got me a SIM card and I just have like a prepaid situation where I only buy data when I need it. So when I'm just around the house on a day-to-day basis, I don't need data. If the power goes out or if I'm going to be out for the day, maybe I'll buy 1 gigabyte of data for the day. And that's like $1. So it's really a better option to just spend a couple dollars per month just getting data when I need it, rather than having a plan that's probably gonna be more expensive and for data that I'm not even utilizing. Now, one thing I would avoid living here and maybe other countries that have the courier system, is online purchases. I do purchase my share of things online from time to time, but it's really something you want to avoid if you're trying to cut costs. Now, yes, it's very nice to just be able to get something that you really want, like the right kind of clothing or shoes or hair product. Guilty. But if you can avoid it, I would, because it really does add up. Every time I order, I'm like, oh yeah, it'll just be like a few dollars, but then it ends up being like $20 for all the things that I ordered, because you do pay per weight of the package. Even for the lightest packages or like a letter, I still pay $3. So it does add up, and it's not a very cost-effective way to live if you're making frequent online purchases. So definitely avoid that if you are really trying to save money. Also, talking about shopping, add things to wish lists. Don't buy things right away. Impulse shopping is something I really try to avoid. Like I said, it not only racks up the cost of paying for the packages, but it's just a good spending tool to practice delayed gratification. Add something to a wish list. If you still want it later, like in a month, then fine, go for it. But you probably need a lot less things than you thought you did in the moment. Going off of the last point, I never buy things straight off social media. I know TikTok Shop and things like that are becoming bigger features of these apps, but if I see something I really want, I'll just add it to wish list, like I said. I also don't follow brands on social media. I feel like I see enough ads to make up for that, even if I wanted to. And I don't subscribe to email lists. If I do subscribe to get like a promotion or something, I will unsubscribe as soon as possible, because believe me, they will bombard your inbox, and you just don't need to be seeing that every single day. You don't need emails every day telling you what to want and what you need that you really don't need. This is something my mom actually taught me. I was a little teenager and I would just sit at the computer and look at cell phones because I wanted a cell phone like all my friends. And she said, the more you look, the more it's gonna make you want one. And it's true. Find other things to do besides shopping and try to just avoid looking at all the things that brands are trying to convince you that you need. You'll live a happier life that way. So those are my 12 tips. They're kind of all over the place. Let me know if you want more focus on any one of these, and I'd be happy to do another video or another video full of tips. Once again, if you are looking for a monthly breakdown on what I spend, check out this video right here and I'll list everything out for you. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.